let's talk about Beasts of Burden. Tell me a little bit about the concept.
Cats and dogs fighting the supernatural. It sounds as dumb as milk and cheese, but it's more or less my main project these days, even when it's not coming out. It started as an 8-page story that I was doing for the Dark Horse book of Hauntings. The editor, Scott Alley, had worked with me on some stuff. He knew that I liked horror stuff. He asked me for a story because, again, I don't approach people and pitch stories or series because I just didn't do that. It was Hauntings. It was ghosts. It was an anthology hardcover, and there was going to be a Hellboy story and a bunch of other people. P. Craig Russell's in there. I was like, ooh, that sounds, it's always good to be part of something like that, and it's always good to get paid to do something. And I couldn't come up with any ideas for a good haunted house story because I really like haunted house stuff as a trope, as a subgenre. But I got the idea for a haunted dog house to do something different in case somebody did do a haunted house story. And I wasn't doing the second regular haunted house story. And there were 2 haunted house stories in there. I mean, they were different, but I didn't want to be the third. So I always try to do something different for an anthology. If everybody's going to do serious stories, I try to do a joke. If everybody's doing jokes, I try to do a serious story. Something to stand out and to try to not be, and also to give me a way to think about the story, to approach it, to narrow it down. So with Beasts of Burden, there was no Beasts of Burden at the time. We didn't have a title. We didn't have a series. I wrote it. I came up with the plot and I pitched it. And Scott liked it. And my cat's walking on everything. I had Jill Thompson in mind to draw it, to illustrate it. I was friends with Jill. I met her, I think, in '91 with Robbie Bush. We were driving back from a convention, got lost in a bad rainstorm, and he knew where her and her boyfriend at the time, Jay, lived, and they invited us to stay with them for a night. And they had 11 cats or something like that, which is kind of funny that I think about it. And Jill was, we had been friends, and I love Jill's work. And so I asked her, Scott asked her to do it, and she said, 2 conditions. I think the conditions were can't do more than 5 panels, and we had to have a pug as one of the dogs, which turned out to be really fortuitous for the book because pugs became one of the main characters, one of the best liked characters, and definitely one of the most fun characters to work on. And so we did this 8-page story about a haunted doghouse, and which I'm sure somebody's done before, if not 5, 10, 20 people in prose or something. And it ends, and that was it. It was about a haunted doghouse, a bunch of dogs. It was very influenced by what I was going for in my head was my memories of Watership Down, in the fact that the rabbits had this culture of their own, that had their own religion, their own way of thinking about things, etc. And that's what the wise dog, who is basically like the exorcist, shows up and does the poltergeist bit. And it's 8 pages, and it's sad at the end, but it's nice at the end, and it has a cute ending. And there's a cat, a bunch of dogs, and people really liked it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. People really liked it. At Dark Horse, people who read it really liked it. It got me a lot of attention. A lot of people talked about it. Jill and I were very, very happy with it. Stopcat. And they continued the book series, and Scott asked if we wanted to do another story together. And I said, if Jill and I wanted to contribute to the next one. And I said, can we do something with the dogs? And he said, sure. And so this was the Book of Witchcraft. So I did a witch story. I wrote a witch story. Jill and I did a witch story. And that was 12 pages, I think. And then it kept going, and we did a 16-pager for the Book of Monsters, of the Book of the Dead, which was the zombie dogs as a result of the first one. And then we were building up continuity. And the last one was the book of Monsters, where we did our longest story, and I co-wrote that with Sarah, which was a werewolf story, which involved one of the characters who was going to be killed, who we didn't kill. Then it was popular enough that we started talking. We won an Eisner for one of the stories, and it was popular enough that Dark Horse, we all knew that it was we were edging towards, like, let's continue this. The anthology book stopped. So in like 2017, 2018, we started talking about a series, dedicated series. So had to come up with a name for it, because before then we had no name for it. It was just the names of the title of the stories. And Jill and I did a miniseries, and it sold. Didn't sell great as a comic. It sold fucking amazing as a book. I think we went into 7 printings. We had like 3 or 4 international editions. Then we had a Hellboy crossover, and then we just weren't getting issues out. So we never got a second collection out, and things deflated. And we've revived the book. We've got 2 more collections out. We've been working with Benjamin Dewey, who has done now 9 issues of the comic. And we got him out on a better schedule. The pandemic knocked the last series, Occupied Territory, which just wrapped up and just came out. It knocked it off schedule, but it was all written and it was mostly drawn. So it's like we were not fooling around. We were getting books done. So our 4th collection will be out in October, November, and I've got 6 one-shots planned. And cat just destroyed something. And I want to keep telling these stories. Oh, cat, you son of a bitch. It's the book that I would like to work on until I die. It really is. If we could just keep that going, because I know the Wise Dog stories, when we start telling some of them, we've been opening up that Watership Down like world. And yeah, you see, it's a concept. It's not a character. We have a ton of characters, a lot of animals and dead things, and it's about a small town where these dogs have been, because of that haunted dog house, they've kind of been introduced to the larger occult world. In the world, dogs and cats and animals see ghosts just like we kind of think they do, or the way that they get upset by. In folklore, dogs get worked up when like a witch is in town or coming by. So it plays off that, but they've become basically occult investigators, except that they're 4 legs. They can't talk to people unless the people are undead or afflicted by the occult or something, or are monsters. And it's just that's really what it is. It's just them being. People have compared it to like the journey home. I don't remember what that thing is. It's a thing about dogs running around and cats and stuff. Like Milo and Otis, that's the one I know. And Buffy, the Vampire Killer, or Supernatural, and things like that.
I mean, as a child of the 80s, what it really reminded me of is like Goonies or Monster Squad, where you have a group of friends who have to confront, some kind of evil menace that takes over their town.
Yes. I will agree with you, even though I'm not a Goonies fan. I did not see Monster Squad until only about a year ago. And I think I would have loved Monster Squad in the 80s if I saw it in the 80s, but I didn't like the kids in Monster Squad. They just don't connect. But we could talk about, I have a podcast with my friend for talking about horror movies and things like that. But definitely, you're right. I never even thought of that aspect of the animals being the kid gang.